Well, regulars here on Wind Tunnel may notice that the introduction music underneath the Advanced Auto Parts NASCAR victory lap today is Enter the Sandman, which is a little bit different. But there is a significance to that replacement. It is because my next guest, who will take his victory lap, is a proud Virginia Tech freshman, just finishing up his freshman season, but more importantly, a veteran of the Commonwealth of Virginia short tracks. We're talking about Daniel Sylvestri. Daniel, welcome and taking a victory lap. And I'm so pleased to have you join me here inside the wind tunnel. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me on. And I love it, man. Enter Sandman's a great song, and it brings me back to all the football games I went to this fall. And, what a great school. So I appreciate you playing that for me.
Listen, in a very short period of time, you have amassed a pretty impressive record, both in the NASCAR Advanced Auto Parts Weekly Racing Series, where 2 years ago you finished second at Dominion Raceway, which is no easy feat for a youngster, and then out on the Cars Tour 1 year ago. So I wonder, what are your 2022 campaign plans?
Well, we're getting ready to announce them, but my plan is to go back to Dominion Raceway and go run for a track title. Try to go one more spot up. And I think, we almost did it in 2020. We ran behind last year's national champion, Peyton Sellers, which is no easy feat to do. So I think our plan is to come back and try to get one spot better.
Peyton Sellers has been on this show several times. And in fact, he is the one that touted your accomplishments to me, quote unquote. You need to get this kid on because he is an up and comer. What does it mean to have an endorsement from a guy that has won national championships and is a perennial contender in that Clarence's Steakhouse Toyota?
Well, it means a lot. He's got a lot of talent. He's been around the sport for, a long time, and he's raced against a lot of up and comers. William Byron's gone through that shop and stuff like that. So it means a lot. And it means a lot as his competition. I'm not going to lie and say, even though I'm running at his shop, he's the one guy I want to beat every week. And so, and that means a lot. And that's my goal this year is, he's one of the guys that I want to go out there and outrun every week. But, I know it's going to take work.
I asked another driver recently that races out of that shop as well, Landon Pentecost, who I know you know very well, what he has learned the most from, and it shouldn't just be Peyton, but the Sellers family. So I'll ask you the same question. What are some of the most lasting lessons that you've learned working out of that Sellers shop?
Well, it's just, it's all a family. I think everybody, really works well together. It's a big deal. Peyton's taught me a lot, specifically him, about how to be a good, professional race car driver. He's a guy that you can get. He talks really well to all the sponsors. He really promotes himself in a good manner. And I think, this presence of the racetrack, being, someone that a lot of people look up to is really well done. And he's a really approachable guy. But at the same time, he's a guy that's going to go out there and win on the racetrack if he has to. And he's really shown me how to race hard and go and get every single bit that you want on the racetrack. And so it's kind of that duality of both, being a professional person off the racetrack, but when you put that helmet on and put the visor down, it's all about going out there and trying to win. So I've learned a lot from, that team.
I understand that the bug or the love for auto racing came at the knee of your dad at the ripe old age of 3 years old, while the two of you sat and watched a NASCAR race on television. I know 3 is kind of early on in your career, but do you remember that period of time?
Absolutely. My family is not a auto racing family. It's not something that my dad was from Philadelphia. My mom's from Puerto Rico. And, my dad grows up loving Philly sports, and I'm a big Eagles and Phillies fan. So to have a kid that just likes watching cars go around in circles was definitely a new thing for him. But I remember that very much. I had all the die casts. I used to play with the cars. I knew every race car driver. So I've loved the sport ever since I was little. I love all forms of racing, and that's, it's a true passion of mine.
And I understand too that maybe the guy that you want to follow in footsteps of with all due respect to Peyton, because he has found his home on the short tracks. But like so many young men like you and women, your ultimate goal is to compete at the very top level of NASCAR, and that, of course, is the Cup Series. You've had your eye on and have been a cheerleader for Daniel Hamrick. What do you see in Daniel Hamrick that has made you so enthusiastically supportive of him?
Well, I think he's a great guy. He's someone that I got to meet through connections when I was doing legend car racing, and I've been able to talk to Daniel. And the dude can drive a race car. I think he's getting the chance to prove that this year. And I really think he's, again, another stand-up guy. There's guys that in the garage you can go and talk to, and no matter who you are, you can have a good conversation with. And he's one of those guys. And I respect his story. I listened to his I Am Athlete podcast with some of those guys when he went on and learned more about him. And I think I respect his hustle and his drive to be, successful at this level of sport.
You realize to this day, the big debate within the Hamrick household is that he is not the best driver, but rather his wife is the best driver. Don't take my word for it. You know it as well as I do. Just look at the Legends car records.
Yeah.
They speak for themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. I've gotten the chance to meet both of them because I actually drove for Kenzie's crew chief at the time.
Okay.
So they go back and forth about all that and all the racing they used to do way before I ever came along in the picture. So absolutely, I do know. And actually, I've seen Kenzie's legend car as well. So I've seen all that stuff at the shop. So I still hear that every so often.
Let's talk for a moment. You've said and shared with us your goal is to go out and chase for a championship this season. From your standpoint, also, while you chase for that goal, what are some of the elements of your racecraft that you want to improve upon?
Well, the biggest thing is just feedback. I'm learning more about these race cars every single week, and I'm trying to become a student. It's just being a student of the game, and so I'm trying to be better at that. I think my going cars tour racing last year really improved my feedback because I had to go to a new racetrack every weekend, and we had to build the setup for the car and get it to where it needs to be competitive. And that's challenging at times because not every weekend you're going to unload with the right setup, and you need to really work to get it right. So I'm trying to work on that. I'm learning every day what certain things, what I'm feeling, getting more detailed. I've gotten a lot better at it, and that's something I really want to improve. And then just, learning how to manage a race a little bit better, be in the right spots, and then overall, finish better. I want to be competing for the win, obviously every single race, but I feel like it's a realistic goal for me and something I can achieve this year.
As I introduced you under the dulcet tones of Enter the Sandman, I revealed to my listeners that you are finishing up your freshman year at Virginia Tech. Look, that's not an easy peasy place to go and enroll and take the number of courses that freshmen are required to. So how in God's name have you successfully mixed your freshman year at Vatech, being a Hokie, and preparing for this chase for this Advanced Auto Parts weekly racing series title that you've set as your goal this season? How do you make both of them work?
You just have to really work on your time management. There are great people that work at that school, and they're really working to personalize your education for yourself and what you plan to do. So this semester, I went with my counselor and I said, I need a full day off to where I could go to either the race shop or go to the track. Like this past Tuesday, I was at the track testing. And so I made a schedule to where I have no classes on Tuesday. And that is basically my race car day. So for the past 2 months, I've been heading down to the racing shop or going to the track to test. And that's the day that I've selected to do race car stuff. And then the rest of the week, I have to go and, catch up on the schoolwork and just work on making sure I'm getting my studies done, and then also focusing on the racing stuff. So it's a little bit of stuff, things to balance. It's definitely going to get harder as race season picks up in April. We're going to go in the finals and stuff like that, but I have no doubt I can do it. And I know there are people that can work with me to make sure everything goes cleanly and I can, finish the year with very good grades.
I have to know, what was the initial response when you walked into your counselor's office and revealed to him that, look, I've got to maneuver my classroom schedule because I need a day to go test a race car or go work in a race shop? Some raised eyebrows there?
Absolutely. I think every conversation I had with anybody at the school is always like, oh, this is totally, nobody really meets a race car driver really often, unless you're really from towns that kind of are surrounded by that racetrack. But so I've always gotten that. I've gotten very used to that look. So you just go through the whole story of this is what I'm doing, this is how I started. And there's very similar questions that get asked every time. And you kind of just go through the entire rundown of everything people want to know. And I'm still trying to get racing involved with the school. I think there's a great opportunity with Virginia Tech and, having someone as myself as a race car driver. And so I'm trying to knock down those doors down there and see if we can make something happen. But, one can only hope. And that's kind of I've just been super impressed with the school overall.
Well, I can attest to the fact that the not only the undergraduate population, but the proud alumni, their love of auto racing runs deep. And yeah, you're right. I buy into that concept. We need a Virginia Tech sponsorship festooned on the side of a late model car competing, maybe at Dominion Raceway for a track championship in 2022. In between everything that you've got going on, Daniel, get on that, okay?
Absolutely. I need to do it. I need to do better at it, but I'm on spring break. I got some emails I need to send. So that's my plan.
Well, we appreciate you taking a little bit of time, kicking off your spring break to visit with me and take a victory lap here in the wind tunnel. And I got a sneaky suspicion we're going to be hearing a lot from you over the course of the next few years, but this was a great greet and meet, and good luck this year, because I got a sneaky suspicion old Peyton Sellers is going to have his hands full trying to win another title with you in his rear view mirror.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on.
Hey man, take care. I will send on look for an email from Nate Jones, and maybe you guys can hook up. As I said, he's a really good guy. You'd really enjoy him. So
yeah, absolutely.
And maybe he can help you out. Who knows?
Yeah.
All right.
Absolutely.
Take care. Enjoy your spring break.
All right. Thank you.
See you. Bye.